After watching the new Wardogs gameplay trailer, this is officially one of my most anticipated shooters right now. Wardogs feels different than the usual military shooters we get every year. Due to this gameplay reveal, I think this game could fill a gap that a lot of FPS players might have been waiting for, including myself. So let's talk about what Wardogs actually is, what stood out in the trailer, and why so many people are suddenly paying attention to this game. Before we get into the gameplay, in case you haven't heard about the game yet, Wardogs is an upcoming large-scale tactical FPS from Bulkhead. The game supports up to 100 players and puts 3 teams against each other in a massive battlefield. According to the developers, this is not a battle royale and this is not an extraction shooter. Instead, Wardogs is trying to create a sandbox war experience focused on teamwork, vehicles, destruction and player-driven battles. There's a bit of battlefield and a bit of squad, then mix in base building, destruction and a unique 3-team control system. At least on paper it sounds very ambitious. The game mode is called All Out Warfare, inspired by King of the Hill. Now, let's talk about the trailer that just dropped. The first thing that immediately stood out to me was the smoothness and the cool looking playability. You have helicopters flying overhead, buildings getting destroyed, infantry fighting across huge areas. And unlike some cinematic trailers that hide what the game actually looks like, this felt much closer to real gameplay. You can clearly see the gunplay, movement, vehicles and battlefield action they're aiming for. And honestly, the performance looked amazingly smooth considering how much is happening on screen. That's something testers have actually been praising as well, along with how fun it is to play. What really makes Wardogs stand out for me is the 3-team structure. Traditional shooters are basically red team versus blue team warfare, but Wardogs throws a third faction into the mix. That doesn't sound like anything I've experienced in wargames. It would seem to completely change battlefield dynamics. Imagine you're attacking a control zone, suddenly another team attacks your flank. Now you're not fighting one enemy, you're fighting 2. You have the chance to hit the brakes and watch the other teams clash before stepping back in, or you can go full Rambo on both teams, and every match can play out differently. The game mode is inspired by the King of the Hill format, where teams fight for control of a randomized objectives zone inside the larger map. That change from the traditional game modes is one of the reasons I'm excited. Another thing that caught my attention is how player-driven the game seems to be. The developers describe Wardogs as a 100% player-driven sandbox. You earn cash through all actions that help your team to win the match. That cash can be used for weapons, equipment, vehicles and other battlefield assets. You start with $10,000 and the cash persists from match to match. Your decisions actually matter towards your upcoming matches. The building and destruction mechanics also look interesting. You can fortify positions, create defensive structures, or just level parts of the battlefield with explosives and armored vehicles. If this system works the way they're describing it, battles could evolve dramatically over the course of a match. Now, there are still some big questions. The biggest one is balance. Making a 100-player shooter is already difficult. Making a 3-team 100-player shooter is even harder. Will vehicles be balanced? Will one team constantly get sandwiched? Will the economy system create problems? Those are things we simply don't know until people get their hands on the game. And I've spent enough time around multiplayer shooters to know that great trailers don't always translate into great long-term experiences. So I'm definitely staying cautiously optimistic. What's interesting is how positive the reaction has been so far. The game recently crossed 500,000 wishlists on Steam, which is a huge milestone. Looking through community discussions, the excitement is obvious. Playtesters' feedback seems to be overwhelmingly positive. And that's probably the biggest compliment Wardogs can get right now, because a lot of players feel like there isn't a shooter currently delivering exactly what they want. Wardogs might have a chance to fill that space, but results matter more than trailers. For me, the reason I'm excited is simple. Wardogs is a fresh product in the midst of traditional shooters. It's not another extraction shooter, it's not trying to be the next battle royale, it's trying to make large-scale warfare fun again. Whether it succeeds or not remains to be seen, but I genuinely appreciate that they're attempting something different. And after watching this gameplay trailer, I want to play it. So, what do you guys think? Is Wardogs the next big tactical FPS? Or is this another game that's looking great in trailers, but still has something to prove? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're interested in more Wardogs updates, gameplay analysis and FPS content, make sure to subscribe, because I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.